Hey, welcome to another great episode of Get in the Flow. I'm the architect.
This is Doc.
Hey, we're going to have an amazing show for you today. So get ready to get in the flow.
Awesome.
Well, good morning, and thank you so much for another great episode of Get in the Flow. We're kicking your assets in gear. And the architect.
I'm Doc.
And today, who's with us, Doc?
We are going to have Meagan Bean here, and she's going to blow our minds talking about Otter reading. It's kind of funny because we are like super interested in hearing more about Otter reading ourselves, and obviously our guests are too. So we just want to jump right into it and maybe get a little bit of background. I know we know a little bit more than our viewers, but what are you doing kind of that led you to Otter reading? What's Otter reading about? Maybe kind of give us a little bit of a backstory leading up to it.
Yeah, for sure. So about 6 or 7 years ago, I was trained in an approach called Orton-Gillingham, which is a multisensory approach to teaching students how to read. And so I had that training. It was like 80 hours. And then not long after that, I led a multisensory session for teachers during a conference. And I was also teaching my students how to change the I to Y rule, or to change the Y to I rule for adding a suffix. And I was like, I really feel like there should be a way to take off the Y, add the I, and then the vowel suffix. And so I walked into Lowe's with a hope and a prayer and came out armed with PVC piping couplings. And
Nice.
yeah, and I made it work. And then suddenly I started kind of sharing it slowly with just different people, and teachers started getting interested. And so I decided to start with, because I was just writing on it. So then I started getting letters or cutting out letters to put on it. And it continued. And so I kind of slapped a name on it. And so Otter is an acronym that stands for Optimizing Tactile Teaching to Engage Readers. So
Oh, wow.
OTTER. Yeah.
It's a
So
mouthful.
it is. And I'm a word nerd. So, but the reason I did it was because sea otters have a favorite tool that they keep in their little pocket to use to open their food. And so I like to say I have my favorite tool that I keep in my back pocket to support students in learning how to read.
Wow.
That's awesome. That is awesome. I know you have, and we'll get to this obviously at the very end. We'll wrap around back to it. But I know there's like an Etsy page where you have your products, and I've seen them. It's really, really cool. It's a great design, and I'm sure the kids love it too. So that's cool that you used an asset that you had of being a teacher, learning specifically about what was something, I guess, that you went through, and then you're like, let's make something out of this. Like, this is really cool. So what an awesome story.
Thank
All right,
you.
So you mentioned like you're teaching these kids how to read using tactile skills. I mean, I think about reading, just picking something up and reading it with my eyes. I don't think about making it tactile. So how do you do that? That's cool.
Thank you. So at the very beginning, when they're learning to read, it's a very abstract concept for our kids. So when you think about a watch is a watch is a watch, doesn't matter if it's upside down, facing you, whatever, it's still a watch. But suddenly we're giving these students letters in a 2D format, and a B, if you turn it one way, it's a D, turn it another way, because so suddenly it is not the same letter anymore. And so when things are oriented differently, it makes it difficult for kids to remember. And then you're throwing in all sorts of spelling rules. There's 44 different sounds in the English language. And so there's just a lot going on for our kids to have to hold on into their heads. So as we teach phonics, different phonics generalizations or rules, whatever you want to call them, or in different sounds, we teach them to like maybe tap out sounds like bat, b, at, or build with my builders, b, at. And yeah, and just to help them give them the something to grasp onto.
Okay.
But with our brains, we're naturally forming images, we're naturally doing something to help connect. So when we can do that in their learning process, it
Love
becomes even more valuable.
Are you using sign language when you're doing things like this?
So no, so I'm just pretending that I'm connecting my tool. But
Oh, gotcha, gotcha.
yeah.
Okay. We
But
do a
I
lot of
have,
that with our grandchildren. There's a lot of like little signs and stuff like that they do when they're,
yes, like more,
yeah,
yeah, thank you.
exactly.
When I was teaching my students how to learn Bible verses, and so some of them could be a little longer, so I would teach them sign language for the verses to help them have a way to remember. But that was a couple of years ago, and of course, since I haven't used it since, it's
Okay,
gone.
well, I think the visual thing is huge for me, and like the holding something in your hands like this, and like this still comes back as an adult, because I will never forget when I was in my organic chemistry classes, they told us you need to get the building block set of the chemicals. And so I love this, like that you build the chemicals, you remember them much better. And how
Yeah.
stinking cool that you're doing that when reading. I mean, such a huge skill for these kids to start off.
Well,
Yeah.
and I think the document mentioned you get your Etsy page.
Mhm.
So what types of, okay, so I guess this is kind of a two-tier question. How and where are you teaching? And then what types of products are you selling on Etsy?
So I just got out of the classroom about a year ago. I
Okay.
now work for a reading curriculum company that is in the foundational space.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so I get to live and breathe it all day long, which I love. Um, so it's been a lot of fun. And on my Etsy page, I have things broken down by grade level. So I have a kinder first grade bundle, a second, third grade bundle, and then a fourth, fifth grade bundle. The kinder first grade is mostly like CVC words, things that they're learning early on in reading.
Okay.
And then the second and third is more based on syllable division and skills like vowel teams and consonant LE, like bubble and those kind of words.
Okay.
And then the fourth and fifth is morphology with prefixes, suffixes, and Greek and Latin roots.
Oh, wow.
Holy
You're doing
Yeah.
that fourth and fifth grade?
Yeah, fourth and fifth
Yeah.
graders are learning that. Yep. And a lot of
Yeah.
times it's their just rote memorization. So the kids are just given a list and having to memorize what the root means and then maybe apply it a couple of times to different words. So giving them something they can build even nonsense words and then talk about what the nonsense word means based on the prefixes and the roots that they use. So that makes it a little more exciting for them.
That's cool. So are you, okay, so I'm picking up, my wife and I homeschooled our girls all the way through. And I'm picking up, is this something that you work with a lot of homeschooling families? Or is it open for anybody?
It is open for anybody. So I've talked to districts, I've talked to schools, I've talked to teachers, homeschool parents. I just partnered with a company called IMSC, which is a huge Orton Gillingham teacher training program. And
Congratulations.
thank you. So I'm partnering with them. And so I've done a whole lot of different things. I've talked to even curriculum companies. So yeah, it's been interesting in that because I really came into it thinking just teachers, parents, and maybe schools, but now there's so much more that I didn't even realize was out there. So it's been fun to learn and fun to grow.
That's
Golly.
awesome.
You know, that I think that's the perfect transition to start kind of working into you as an entrepreneur. I mean, you were a teacher that's similar to kind of my background, not being a teacher, but a W-2, a job before the entrepreneur job. And so what does that look like? That transition, how long has it been overall that you've been working while as an entrepreneur? Because I know that could help me and I'm sure our viewers too.
Yeah, so the journey has been a lot because I have only known education. I this sort of started it right like 2020-ish, right around kind of COVID. So it's been an interesting journey just because of education is all I've known. So I really had to grow as a business owner, as an entrepreneur. I love creating things. I've always done that side. So like creating this tool was totally something I was comfortable with in my wheelhouse, but then scaling it from just in my house to selling and all of that has definitely been a journey. The coolest thing that helped me start from the beginning is I found at UNC Charlotte, they have a small business development and tech center where they help entrepreneurs for free.
Wow.
And that, yeah, and I don't know if that's in every state, but that's a University of North Carolina thing. So they have them, I
Wow.
think, at all the major universities. And so they helped me at the beginning, getting me off the ground, telling me different things to look for. And we met at least twice a month, if not
Wow.
more. Yeah. They were great. And then after that, I love reading books. So I was devouring different books. I then hopped on the blocks and learned a lot. And then after I got back home, I not long after got selected to be part of the retail lab program at Flywheel, which is another entrepreneurial company. And so they were huge support. And now I have my own little mentoring system, which has been amazing.
Wow.
Gee.
It's called Venture Mentoring Services, I think. But yeah, that has been huge because we meet once a month, which I'm like, y'all want to meet with me more than like one time? You want to meet monthly? Oh, okay. Like, I mean, it has just been amazing.
Wow.
They all have their own little entrepreneur business. They've been huge cheerleaders. I am not a salesperson at all. I'm like, maybe, do you want to take it? Maybe. Do you want it? Like somebody at the small business development center at Charlotte was like, maybe you should take your dog. She might help you sell. And I was like, thanks.
Try everything. Try everything.
Yes. But it's been good because they've really pushed me out of my comfort zone. And I, as a teacher, it's been very hard to kind of, because I work from home now. And so like to not constantly have noise going on is just really hard.
Right.
In the beginning, I was like, I could hear a pin drop.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and that's not my classroom. I was a firm believer in if there's not a lot of noise, there wasn't a lot of learning. So my classroom was constantly going. So it was that in itself was the transition. So I'm glad to have mentors and connections now in the entrepreneur side to kind of fill those relational gaps too.
Sure. That is like something that I feel like I am just hearing over and over again. And then this is kind of coming from someone who's not very experienced as an entrepreneur, a fresh starter, we'll say. But that's just a recurring thing, seeing that once you start getting going, I'm pretty sure every entrepreneur that I've talked to, and especially ones that we've interviewed, they just like, you have a natural mentor, just flowing out of you, mentorship type of mindset of like, I've done this, I've worked hard, but I really want to help other people out. And it's, wow, that's so cool that you didn't even expect that coming. And it's just kind of happened. How awesome.
Well,
Yeah, it's been great to be poured into, and I'm excited to be able to like share things that I've learned, and because I've done the manufacturing process, which was a process, because now it's not PVC pipe. And just FYI, no one's going to care as much about your stuff as you will. I just was like, oh, they'll take care of it. Oh yeah, no. Like what
No.
was supposed to be a 1 month process ended up being like 4 or 5 months. I mean, it was
Wow.
ridiculous. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And then they wanted to charge me for fixing something that I was like, no, I'm sorry. And I'm
How is
usually
that?
not that way. I'm usually like, yeah, no problem. But I was like, you forgot about me.
So, okay, so that's a good segue. Um, when you were getting started, you're coming out of this job, if you will. You're becoming an entrepreneur, and all you've ever known is this job. And so, what are some of the hidden challenges that you wish you had known going into it? And would you have still gone forward?
Yeah, I would absolutely do this 100% all over again. It's been
Okay.
so much fun. I've grown so much. I think if I could share one thing, it would be get organized, like have a place where you're putting receipts for taxes, have a place where you're tracking um all your spending for the business, have a place where you're tracking sales and all of that sort of stuff, because I didn't do a good job of that early on, a lot, because I was just like, oh, like it isn't gonna be a thing. And I sold $7,000 worth of PVC pipes, and I was like, oh, it is a thing. Okay. So, um, so I would say, like, prepare like you're gonna be massive, but work as if you're like the size of an ant. Like work hard, but dream big, so that you are prepared as you grow, because it happens quickly.
Right.
I just sent out what, like, I don't even want to know how much it all weighed, but like yesterday I mailed out 89 packages through the post office, or Saturday, 89 packages to the post office for IMSE.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And then I have 20 bundles that I have to ship, and I have never shipped something. I mean, it's going to weigh a lot, and so I
Right.
need to figure out how I'm going to ship that. So
Right.
it's, yeah, and
Yeah,
it'll,
it's learning all those challenges. It's that whole,
yeah,
I think it's that whole process that a lot of entrepreneurs don't realize. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
yeah.
And so it's like this constant state of learning for years,
Yeah.
you
Oh
know?
yeah.
So,
I mean, I think it's been 2 or 3 years. I've devoured books. If people are willing to talk to me, like you guys, like I'm like, all right, what do we do? Like, what do I need to know? Because there are things I do not know, and
right.
I don't. Like you said, I didn't know that was a thing. Like, you know.
It's
So
filling those blind spots.
exactly, and
Right.
yep. And to just know too that it's not going to happen overnight. It'll feel like it happened quick at the end of the journey, but it is something that, or not at the end of the journey, but when it starts scaling, but it is
Yes.
something that I know a lot of people come to entrepreneurship with like, oh, this is going to happen tomorrow. And it's something that definitely doesn't happen overnight, for sure, or at least my experience.
Wow.
No, we know that very true ourselves. We know that very true.
Hey, you're constantly building stuff and breaking it and trying to fix it, right?
Yes.
Oh
So
yeah.
we just continue to learn through that process, and and you just keep getting better. It's
Yeah.
not a perfect road
Yeah.
by any stretch of the means, but well, Megan, this has been absolutely incredible. And
Yeah.
before we leave, I think we'd be doing our viewers a disservice if we don't find out how they can find Otter Reading.
Yes.
So I have a website that's otterreading.com, and from there it'll take you to my Etsy page, and then also I have some free little things on my website as well. If they want
Nice.
them, they're welcome to them. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, give it back already. Golly. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, it has been such an honor. It's been such a privilege to have you with us and to share I mean, you dropped some good nuggets on us this morning, and we're really grateful. I don't. Okay, I'm just gonna say I don't really care if anybody else gets anything. I think Wes and I got a lot.
Yes.
So. And we love you out there in YouTube world. We love you in Facebook world. We really do. Thank you for watching. No, this has been an incredible time. And guys, make sure you link if you've got little ones that you're struggling to teach them how to read. Why not try a new tactic? I mean, some of the old tactics have been around forever, and if it's not working, try something else.
Yes.
Right. So try this tactile learning system. I think that's really exciting.
I love it.
And it gets the kids involved. And just click on the link below. We're gonna have Meagan's website there, otterreading.com, in the link below. Make sure you subscribe for more videos like this down below. Guys, it has been another incredible time. Meagan, thank you so much for being with us.
Golly, yes, Megan, we cannot thank you enough. This is so good. We're over here taking notes, like scratching notes on our paper. So thank you. I know our viewers are gonna be the same way. So thank you
Thank
again.
you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been so much fun.
Oh, absolutely. Guys, it's been another great episode of Get in the Flow. We're kicking your assets in gear.
Thanks, guys.